Dear best-selling author, columnist, a little incredulous here. What do you think?
Well, James Clapper is a liar, and in many cases he would have been prosecuted for perjury over some of the things he said in recent years, so I'm not minded to believe him on this. The fact is, Paul Manafort has been wiretapped by the United States government since 2014.
2014, think about that.
Yeah, that's almost 3 years. Now, he's never been, never mind convicted, he's never been charged with anything. So we have a situation in a supposedly free, self-governing, civilized society where the most powerful government in the world can wiretap you for 3 years and never have to bring a charge or find any crime that you've committed.
And I get different reads on what precipitated it, whether it was a Ukraine connection and all of that, but certainly whether people knew who he was or not at the time, when he ascended to the role of campaign manager.
Right.
You had to think that there were conversations,
yep.
You know, said, hey, you know, we have these wiretaps, and they could very well involve, you know, the guy who's running for president of the United States.
That's right. I mean, for a start, the FISA court thing is a joke. They just rub a stamp. All you need to do is be conversing with a foreigner, as you are doing right now, in fact. That would be grounds...
Or vice versa.
...for a FISA warrant against you.
And who would know about it?
Oh, well, and that's the point. Nobody would know about it, except what we have here is essentially the ruling party using the cover of national security rules to get the goods on its political opponents. I mean, if you go back to one of the meetings that they wiretapped, a prince from the United Arab Emirates came to town to meet with Obama, and Obama blew him off. So he thought he'd meet with the incoming government, so he went to Trump Tower. And mysteriously, the Obama administration decided it needed to eavesdrop on this meeting. There's no reason why this prince is a national security concern to the United States. They eavesdropped on the meeting to get the goods on Trump. That's the issue here. There's actually no Russians, I mean, I take the view that, you know, Paul Manafort is doing business with a lot of sleazy oligarchs and so forth.
Right.
A lot of the guys you have on this show are.
They're my bread and butter.
Yeah, and there's sleazy oligarchs all over New York and London and everywhere in the West. But that's not the issue.
I understand. But, Mark, the one thing that would come to mind, though, is the intelligence officials, the Clappers, what have you, they would have to know about this. So when he, months back, was unequivocally denying that Donald Trump's phones were tapped or that Donald Trump ever appeared in a tape or something like that, I mean, he had to know, right? He had to know that there was certainly a distinct possibility that this could have been going on, and that the president was sort of swept into it.
Absolutely. And that's the other problem here. Clapper has been lying with impunity to Congress and to the American people because he knows
he's treated like a saint in the media.
Exactly. And he knows he's never going to be called on it. And then you have someone like Paul Manafort. They pick his front door, they go in, they search his wife who's in her negligee in case she's got an AK-47 under there. That's disgusting. And they go through the house, not to get the goods on him, but just to find one of those process crimes, you know, a little thing they can mail forward.
If you think that this is all about, you know, putting pressure on him to do what? To serve other administration members, to circle in on Trump, what? Absolutely.
I think they're trying to turn him to get to Trump. And people think this is clever. And it's got a long history in America of... I would say the corruption of federal justice. He knows that if he's actually dragged into court, your friend Conrad Black likes to point out that in federal court, the United States government wins 97% of its cases, which is a victory rate Kim Jong-un's justice system would envy. It's not respectable. So they know that if Manafort knows if he's dragged into court, he's done. And the idea is to...
Squeeze him.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not funny, and I know people think it's cute, but the fact is we're in real banana republic territory here. We've got the then
like a banana
ruling
republic,
party.
we had the officials originally involved denying and then clarifying it is possible.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, and doing it 6 months. Yeah, modifying the story 6 months on, another 6 months on, another 6 months on. But there are no Russians in the Russian investigation. What there are political operatives of the Obama administration spying on their political opponents.
Real quickly, Mueller, we do know also is digging into all sorts of private conversations that the president has had, meetings he has had. This clearly does seem to be a focus on the bottom to go after the president.
Absolutely. The idea is to... I mean, the grounds for letting Hillary off is that you couldn't deny the Democratic electorate its candidate in an election year. What they're doing here now is denying the elected president of the United States the opportunity to govern effectively. That's disgusting.
All right. Good seeing you. Crazy, crazy stuff. All right. As he's talking, we are keeping an eye.
New report claims former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort, the guy right in the center of that picture, was wiretapped by the Obama administration before and after the 2016 election.
Manafort is the central figure in the FBI investigation into Russia's involvement in the election. So what does this mean for the probe going forward? Here to break it all down is Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Napolitano. Hey, Judge.
Good morning, guys. So this is all new to us, and it broke last night, and there are different versions that we're learning about. One version is that the FBI was surveilling Paul Manafort back in 2014 before he was involved in the campaign, before Donald Trump was running for office. Good question. If it was a FISA warrant, then they were listening to his conversations because he was speaking to agents of foreign governments. That may have been perfectly legitimate. He may have been working for them, and he may have reported it, or he may not have reported it. Then apparently the surveillance kicked up again after he became then Mr. Donald Trump's campaign manager. And again, we don't know if it was FISA or a regular Article 3 judge warrant. And this is a real serious distinction. If the government uses FISA, that's the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, to get a warrant to listen to you, the threshold for that is very low. Brian Kilmeade, we have reason to believe, is talking to somebody who works for a foreign government. We want to listen to their conversation. We're not interested in Kilmeade. We're interested in the foreign person he's speaking to. The courts grant 99.9% of those. Right. But if they were interested in evidence about Paul Manafort to find out what he knows about Donald Trump, or to find out what he was telling Donald Trump during the campaign, or to use this evidence against him in a criminal prosecution, that kind of a warrant won't do. Then they have to go to a federal judge and present evidence of crimes by him or the people he's speaking to in order to get that warrant. So, were they listening to Paul Manafort during the campaign in order to find out what Donald Trump was going to do next in the campaign and help Hillary? Were they listening to Paul Manafort because they thought he had committed a crime? Were they listening to Paul Manafort because they were looking for something with which to tarnish the future president?
How about this? Were they listening to Paul Manafort in Trump Tower? And does it seem more and more like the president knows something when he came out and had that tweet from Mar-a-Lago all those months ago?
Yes. I think the answer to all those questions is yes. They were surveilling Paul Manafort while he was in Trump Tower, which is absolutely consistent with allegations that Donald Trump and others have made about this. But there's a below-the-radar screen thing here that I got to tell you about. FBI Director Comey, while still the FBI Director, and Admiral Mike Rogers, the head of the NSA, both told the Senate Intelligence Committee under oath that they knew of no surveillance of Donald Trump.
So who's running this operation?
How could the FBI director not know about this if his own people had brought it about as part of a criminal investigation?
I heard they were sneaking into his apartment while he was sleeping to go put these bugs in. Is that true?
What?
No, they broke into his house while he was still asleep, pursuant to a search warrant.
And raided him.
And raided. They took pictures of his clothing. They took his checkbooks. They took everything.
Unbelievable.
Which is extremely aggressive prosecution.
By the way, every judge segment ends with Comey. It's amazing. This guy comes up in every conversation and every party.
You're right, Brian. I think there's more to be heard. Pleasure, guys.
And that's why you keep coming back, and we have to have it.
Is Heather Nauert coming on the show?
She's going to come on the show.
Wow.
But she cannot speak to you. She has to talk to us first. Okay?
All right. Devastated.